focus of this lecture will be actually two separate experiments that are all grouped in the sort of one larger battery of tests. And these include the Methyl Red and Voges-Proskauer, or the MR-BP tests. Now, in order to test for the presence of a mixed acid fermenter, in order to test for stable acid products, we're going to use the pH indicator, Methyl Red. Now, Methyl Red as a pH indicator works as follows. At a pH of 4.4 or less, the addition of methyl red will turn the tube red. So when I look at that tube on the left, what that indicates to me is the pH is less than or equal to 4.4. However, at a pH greater than 6.2, methyl red turns the tube yellow. So when I look here in the tube on the right, that tells me that the pH is greater than or equal to 6.2. Now clearly there's a gap there, right? What if the pH is between 4.5 and 6.1? When you have that kind of gap between 4.5 to 6.1, methyl red actually turns an orange color. Now, that's going to be very important here, as we'll see in a second. So, when you add methyl red to your tubes, and that tube turns red, that means you have a mixed acid fermenter, and you have those stable acid end products. So, organism A fermented, produced acids, and those acids stuck around, lowering the pH below 4.4, causing the tube to turn red. However, if your tube turns yellow, what that means is your organism fermented. Does not mean it didn't ferment, but what it means is that the acid end products were not stable. Those acid end products were neutralized. And when those acid products are neutralized, the pH is going to start to approach a more neutral pH. So, the absence of red does not mean the organism did not ferment. Now, it's certainly possible the organism did not ferment, but the organism may have fermented but neutralized its acid end products. So now what does it mean if your tube turns orange? If your tube turns orange, that's an indication that it's not a mixed acid fermenter. While the pH did not approach 6.2, while the pH did not get all the way back to a neutral pH, it has still begun the process of neutralizing those acids. Therefore, that color will be orange in the tube. So the only definitive positive result here is if the tube turns red. Alright, so let's move on now to a self-test. This is exactly a kind of question we would ask on the practical. When you look here at the tube on the right, what is the interpretation after the addition of the pH indicator methyl red? That's right. Clearly this organism is not a mixed acid fermenter. And what really tipped me off there is that nice yellow color after the addition of methyl red. Remember, the color yellow indicates a pH that is greater than or equal to 6.4, which tells me those acids have further been neutralized. And therefore, that pH approaches a neutral pH. All right, let's move on to the next test. Again, I've added methyl red to this tube. What is the interpretation? That's right, that nice red color is an indication to me that the organism that grew in that tube is a mixed acid fermenter. Remember, methyl red is red at a pH less than or equal to 4.2. Therefore, that indicates to me that the acid end products were stable.